Okay, welcome everyone. We might have some kitten traffic coming and going. Would you like to meditate with us? Okay. Okay, so this morning we're going to settle in as we always do with a short meditation. And I'll be talking with you about the next of the yamas, which is called Aparigraha. Aparigraha. Let me just get this door so I can prevent a kitten conflict with the scary mommy kitten who has a blue cone on her head. Now, just to be clear, the scary mommy kitten is wearing a cone because she's supposed to be, and she's not causing conflict. It's just that the cone is a source of fear for the kittens. And so conflict is happening at the mammalian brain level, at the limbic brain level. All right, so please take a comfortable seat. You can rest your hands in your lap and invite yourself to settle in. Your breathing to bring you into the present moment. You can grant yourself with the gift of attention and permission. Find yourself arriving, let's imagine the steps that we have taken so far in the immersion, beginning with ahimsa, the absence of harm or the absence of violence. And then satya, the fullness of honesty or truthfulness. Asteya, the absence of stealing, not taking that which isn't ours or which has not been given to us. Brahmacharya, respecting the vitality and sensuality in your own organism and also in that of others and also in life at large. So even in the ecology in the earth. And then we come to Aparigraha, which is the practice of non-grasping, non-possessiveness, non-hoarding. Non-grasping, non-possessiveness, non-hoarding. So the absence of grasping, the absence of possessiveness, the absence of hoarding. As you hear the words that I'm sharing, and it reminds you that you're on a path that has a practice, that has some stepping stones and some tools along the way. Let's breathe in with gratitude that we get to have a practice time. We also have a community. We have a Sangha here together. And we can raise the hands to the heart, please, in Anjali Mudra. And let's chant the Gayatri mantra. Om Bhur Bhuva Svaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhuva Svaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhuva Svaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Argo devasya dhimahi Dhiyo yona prachodayata. Om Bhurbhuva Suvah Tatsavitur Varenyam Argo devasya dhimahi Dhiyo yona prachodayata. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Bow your head to your heart. Release your hand and open your eyes. So the practice of non-grasping, or the absence of grasping, I think it's long been applied to the yoga practice as not grasping during the poses, like having a certain quality of effort when you're practicing yoga. And this is certainly true. This is beneficial. But it's actually applying to how we live our lives individually, but also relationally and in society. The absence of grasping, the absence of possessiveness, the absence of hoarding. So it's talking about the absence of acquisition, not having to acquire more and more and more things, including more yoga experiences, for example, or more yoga poses, or not having to acquire somehow a certain amount of fame or approval or status. These yamas and niyamas are thousands of years old, and they're recommended to help us come into a life of yoga. So that's distinctly different than a life of commerce culture that most of us live in. So today I'm going to be referencing it for non-hoarding, non-possessiveness, non-acquisition, non-grasping, not holding on to, not even hoarding our experiences. And sometimes we don't know that we're doing this. You can picture it a little bit like if you actually saw the home of somebody who is a hoarder, and I do know some people in my own life for whom this is the case, the stacks and stacks of things that might be in the home with a pathway to walk through those stacks, like books or magazines, the amount of stuff on the counters or in the cupboards, all of this stuff, that person is looking for a sense of safety or security, a sense of stabilization. And the stuff is providing that to some extent. It's also narrowed down the pathway that they can walk in their home in this particular case, and maybe other cases too. And that pathway just keeps the essentials, the bedroom, the bathroom, the kitchen, and such. And so it's a way of prioritizing what's essential. At the same time, it's a burden on us because that much stuff that we're holding on to in our environment or in our body means that we have the unresolved, untended to, maybe even the postponed things that we think we're going to get back to. I'm going to read that book. I'm going to read that magazine. I'll come back to that someday. When I have the time, I'm going to clean this, or I'm going to research this, or I'm going to make use of those things that I'm holding on to. And so there's also a relationship to time and postponement. When I have the time, I'll clean this stack up. When I have the time, I'll do that. And so the whole system of Aparigraha is actually to help us simplify, including our relationship to time. Sometimes we could even apply it as not trying to get more activities squeezed into one day. So non-grasping, non-possessiveness, not overdoing on a certain day. How much you think you can get done, or all the pleasant activities you have to squeeze into the last day of your holiday, for example. So it's really a radical simplification of how we live, bringing in a quality of simplicity. So that being said, let's take it to the yoga mat, please. And I would like you to have 2 blocks to start class with. We're going to lie on our backs, and you don't need a blanket unless you'd like to cover up with it. You're, of course, welcome to use a blanket anytime. So we have one block is going to go flat for the shoulder blades like this. And one block medium for the head like this. Okay, and then you can lie back. Earlier this morning, I was practicing grasping in my Shavasana. I wanted the kitten to stay put on my abdomen. I was actually practicing restraining. I thought, I'm training this kitten to rest here, but I was also practicing grasping and restraining the kitten. And so even just like that, sometimes letting the moment be what it is, what its actual suchness is. Okay, so come down onto your back. So the shoulder blades are on the flat block and your head is on the medium block. Take the arms out in a gentle T shape. Stretch out your legs. And drop into the simplicity of the present moment right here. Notice the many places where you are connected with the ground beneath you. And encourage your mind to notice that as a way of reinstilling a sense of security or stabilization in the present moment. Let your brain know that you know. Here is the back of the heel, the back of your calf, the back of your knuckles, your elbows touching the ground. Noticing those various sensations. Now inhale, raise your arms straight up towards the ceiling. And exhale overhead. Inhale, raise up. And exhale out to the side, keeping it really simple. Let's continue, synchronize the movement. So you're inhaling, raise up at the full length of the inhale, reach the high point of your action. Exhale, arms overhead. Use the entire length of the exhale, but no sense of rushing. And we can reach fully without a sense of grasping. We're just reaching fully on purpose for the benefit of the physical body. But not a sense that we're competing with some other person's reach. Let's do it one more time. Inhale, raise up. And exhale, open out to the sides. Let your body and your mind get really still. That was just very simple yoga. Notice the influence. Please bend one knee at a time. Interlace your fingers, press the heels of the hands straight up. Take your arms overhead. And reach fully, but without a sense of any kind of grasping. We're not reaching to acquire something. Reach fully because it opens the body. Enjoy a deep breath in. And then exhale, press into your heels, raise the hips up momentarily, lengthen the hips away from the heart and lay your sacrum back down. So you're giving yourself a little bit of traction in each direction. Inhale, reach through the arms. Exhale, press into your heels, raise your hips up very slightly and lengthen the sacrum away from the block and your heart. And inhale, lay the hips back down as you lengthen your arms. Do that one more time. Exhale, raise your hips up, reach from the back of your waist to your tailbone, from your heart to your heels of your hands. And then inhale, lay the hips back down with the full reach of the arms. And now let's take the arms into Cactus Pose. So bend the elbows and drift the arms out to the side and go to where your arms need to be for this Cactus Pose to end up laying on the floor. Mine is more like the shape of a letter W and less like a strict sort of cactus pose. So go where your body goes in that case. And notice the pathway of the breath. If possible, you're going to pace the breath to be first third, middle third, upper third, relatively equal in length for each of those thirds. You don't have to practice an interruption, just an observation that there's three segments, three regions for the breath. And then exhale last time. And decide if you're going to roll sideways to come off of these two blocks, or one of my preferences in this position is to put my hands down just under the hips, straighten one leg and press down to rise up to sitting. And let's take the first block on the medium and the second block on the tall. So you just raised both of these situations. Rather than cutting a hole in the floor, we're raising the blocks up. Okay, before going back, please sit up straight and hug your right knee into your chest. Wrap the left hand around your right shin, possibly put your fingers between your calf and your thigh. Right hand behind you as you inhale, twist to your right, look over your right shoulder. Listen for how the breath is moving inside right now. And see if you can just sense those three regions. Lower, middle, upper, not only on the front, but also on the back of the body. And exhale, come around to face forward. Stretch the right leg out, bring the left knee in. Wrap your right hand around. Place the left hand behind you. As you twist to your left, try to get a sense of the welcome that your body has for the breath. It's possible that you've got some residue or some storage in the body. Some sedimentation is there. With your next exhale, rotate back around to face towards your legs and place your hands so that you can slide yourself down so that the shoulder blades go on the first block, and it is the bottom corners of the shoulder blades there. And your head on the second block. Take the arms again out into a T shape. It's possible that the back of your elbows may or may not reach the floor. Notice the simplicity of the breath just now as it's coming in and going out. Now raise your arms straight up towards the ceiling. Exhale overhead, palms facing each other. Inhale, raise up at the pace of the breath. Exhale out to the side. Lay the shoulder blades down against that block as you lift the heart towards the ceiling. Do it once more. Inhale, rise up. Exhale overhead. Inhale, raise up. And exhale out to the side. Right now, the practice of synchronizing and giving full attention to the actions, that's telling you what your priorities are. It's giving you the essentials. It's like the pathway in the home of the hoarder. In this case, the breath, the movement, the sensations, they give you the essential pathway. Let nothing else be relevant during those moments of concentration. Interlace your fingers, take the heels of the hands straight up towards the ceiling, bend your knees, please. Now, as you push up, let's go overhead with a full sense of the reach, but without any sense of grasping. Inhale from your heart to the heels of your hands. Exhale, press into your heels, raise the sacrum and lengthen your tailbone away from the block. It's as if lengthening the spine, giving a little bit of traction. Then inhale, lay your hips down, reach through your arms. Exhale, press into your heels, raise the hips, give yourself some traction. Inhale, reach through your arms as you lower your sacrum down. And then exhale and bring the arms into Cactus Pose, knowing that they won't likely touch the floor, but see where do you come down from Cactus. In my case, it's more like a W, but even less like a W. Definitely not like Cactus Pose right here. We're pretty high up on the block, so it's not an expectation. And then decide if you're going to go sideways or if you're going to sit up from where we are. If you're sitting up, you can place your hands under your pelvis and then rise up. And here we are for Marichyasana. So wrap the left hand around, right hand behind, and again, twist to your right. And just try to sense if anything feels more easeful, more spacious. Keep your mind on the essentials. And follow your exhale around to Dandasana. And then the other side, bend your left knee. Wrap your right hand around and please twist to your left. Also keeping your mind on the essentials. Exhale, come around to face forward. Okay. Switch to come over to kneeling where you can see me and so on. So in the work of the upper back, which is going to be part of my focus in class today, I want you to imagine that the essentials are how we concentrate, how we tune in. Like the yoga, even the yoga, the more practice we become, the more consistent we are, the greater depth that we're having, the more subtle the practice to have even more remarkable outcomes. While we're not attached to the outcome, it's really something to take notice of, that there's a change of effort and depth and duration in the course of your yoga life, your yoga path. So we don't have to be working as hard as we once did to get certain things sorted through, nor should we feel like we're still jackhammering through the body to get to the subtle body. Like we've had enough practice and we should have hopefully organized our lives in such a way as we don't have a lot of stuff to jackhammer through, as it were. So I'm going to ask you to take these two blocks, place them on your mat. Okay, and we'll do the palms face down on the two blocks. We're going to be twisting under one gently and then we'll go twisting under the other. So place the hands out over the blocks. Keep your hips as much as you can on your heels. Excuse me. Now, as you next inhale, pull forward through cat pose to cow pose. Make it an undulation. And then exhale through cat pose to child's pose. Follow the undulation. Inhale, cat, on the way to cow. And then exhale, cat, on the way to child's pose. Please do that one more time. Synchronize between your breath and your body. Now, keeping your right arm where it is, take the left arm under, come to the back of your left hand, the back of your left wrist, maybe the back of your forearm. It's possible that your head is not going to reach the floor. That's okay. We're here temporarily. Press the right palm down and broaden the left shoulder blade as you twist to your right. And then inhale, rise up to one arm table pose. Sweep your left arm out like an airplane. Okay, place the left palm flat, reach your hips back. Slide the right arm under, come to the back of your right hand, the back of your wrist, maybe the back of your forearm. Reach your hips back towards your heels and do your best to broaden your right shoulder blade from your spine as you're twisting to your left. And then inhale, come forward, one arm table pose, right arm out to the side. And exhale, place your hand in table pose. Now let's place the elbows on these two blocks and put your elbows in the centers of the blocks. Put the palms together first like a prayer, and then open the hands using your fingerprints and your thumbprints. And reach your hips back. When you're reaching the hips back like this, keep the elbows in the middles of the block so that they don't tip over. It's okay to relax the weight of your head, but keep the lumbar spine more broad, not more collapsed. And inhale and come forward to your elbows. Lower the hips down. Bring the heart forward. This is Sphynx Pose. So press the elbows firmly down. I know you're on the front half of the block there, but hopefully that feels stable enough. Lift up through the heart. Reach back through your legs. Keep the elbows pressing down so the upper arms are firm, even as you set the shoulders back. And now following the breath cycle, inhale up to table pose on the elbows and knees. It's a long table. Exhale back with the hips. Inhale forward to this kind of strange table pose. Exhale, lower your hips down towards the shape of Sphynx Pose. Inhale, raise up in your Sphynx Pose. Exhale, table pose. Inhale, reach the hips back. And once more, exhale, come forward. And lower the thighs down, lower the pelvis down. Inhale, reach up with the heart. And exhale, raise up to table pose and place your hands back on the two blocks. Climbing up, reach back into child's pose. So having had some movement in the upper back, what we call flexion and extension, stabilizing and opening. Let's now take the left arm under again.
And as you twist to the right, just check and see if there's a greater sense of spaciousness for the upper back, the left shoulder blade. And then come forward, one arm table pose.
And place your left hand. Reach back to child's pose. Okay, let's weave the right arm underneath. And check and see if there's a bit more space, or perhaps just you're more comfortable with the experience. Same sensations, same capacity, but more comfort inside that experience. And come up to one arm table pose. And release your right hand to table pose. Please sit in Vajrasana. Come back to kneeling Vajrasana. Rest your hands in your lap. We're moving in the region of the heart chakra, the fourth chakra. Asking if flexion and extension, a little bit more back bending might produce greater capacity for rotation. But we're also asking if we can release some of the sedimentation of stress, for example, or unresolved thoughts or emotions. So please rise up to a wide stance on your mat. And taking this wide stance, we're going to go for the legs to be one leg length apart, left to right. And then come down to Prasar Paratanasana. Let's walk the hands out. And some of you are going to find that I like having my hands on the blocks, and some of you are going to find that you can or you cannot reach your ankle with the opposite hand. And that is okay if you can't reach it. Sometimes it's helpful to put a strap around your foot, and then you have the strap to hold on to with your hand. So starting here, the spine is a little bit like child's pose. So breathe in, notice the lower third, mid third, upper thirds of the breath. And invite the present moment attention to the breath and the body to be enough, needing nothing more dazzling, no more shining objects than that. So the essentials are laid out for you right here, right now. Leave all other thoughts aside. And bring the left hand under, and if possible, put the back of your left hand around the outside of your right ankle. And twist under. So you're broadening the left shoulder blade away from the spine, even as you twist to your right. You come into the position and then breathe into it. Notice what is present, what is being asked of you. What is essential? Rotate back to center, place your left hand out on its block. Bring the right hand under and bring the back of your right hand to the outside of your left ankle to the best of your ability. And as you twist under, broaden your right shoulder blade away from your spine. I like these kinds of twists right here because we can't really grasp with the right hand on the left ankle. You've got the back of your hand there. So it has to be an internal motivation for how the body and the breath together work with the twist. And then rotate your right hand back to its block, please. And let's go heel toe to center until your feet are in Uttanasana. Walk the blocks back to where you like them to be for Uttanasana. Please raise your hands to your hips, rise up to standing. Okay, let the arms dangle. And notice what's happening in your heart. I'm going to keep working with you in this region of the body, in this sort of upper back, chest, and heart region. And I'd like us to take a spot where you have a door frame or a wall. And so I'm going to use this as my door frame right here. And I'll face to my east first. So you're going to be seeing, I'll just try to say right and left as appropriate for you all. So this is the left side of my body at this side of the door frame. Okay, so raise the right arm up sideways. And exhale up and over to touch the door frame with your right arm. If you have that within pretty easy reach, then go ahead and call that your measurement. And then rise up to center, lower the right arm down. Okay, now standing on your left leg, facing the side. Let me bring my microphone closer. I do have more cable on this. Okay, so standing on the left leg, facing this way, cross your right ankle over your left ankle. So now your legs are woven together. Take the right arm up and side bend again towards the wall. And allow the hips to drift a little bit to the right. So you are lengthening the side of the torso. And there's a major muscle there that influences your shoulder girdle called latissimus dorsi. Okay, now with an exhale, press into both feet, raise the torso up, lower your right arm down, and step your right foot around your left foot so you come back to mountain pose. Now I'd like you to stand on a block under your left foot only. So place the block, step there with your left foot. Okay, at first you can keep the toes of the right foot on the floor like that. You see, tap, tap right there. We're going to be not putting the toes down, but rather having the leg hang like a weight for the right psoas. So take your right arm out to the side, raise it up. And as you balance on your left leg, let the right leg swing a little bit. That's how you know that you're not supporting yourself at this time with your right leg, but rather with your left leg. And then reach up and over. Touch the door frame with your right fingers. Climb up the door frame or the side of the bookshelf or whatever you're using, your fire pole, whatever it might be. And as the right leg hangs down like that, keep the hips level. Open the right sideways and the right inner belly. And then rise up, touch the right toes down, and step down to mountain pose. And take notice how things feel between one hemisphere of the body and the other. So for me, the right side feels really spacious and the left side does not feel so spacious. So turn about, so you have your door frame for your right hand and arm. Just check your distance first. The left arm comes up, over, we can easily touch. We know where we are. And then stand on your right leg and cross your left ankle over your right. Raise the left arm up. And side bend. And as you're touching there with the left hand on the wall, try to breathe down to the side of the waist here. So this whole side body and into the lower back near the sacrum. This really big muscle on the back of the body is called latissimus dorsi, and it has a strong influence on the shoulder girdle. Exhale, rise up to center. Place your left foot. Come back to mountain pose. Notice how things are. Now stand on your block on your right foot. Come up on the right leg, tone the right hip so you're balancing on the right leg. And you know that because you can swing your left leg and you don't feel concerned about it. So keep the right hip toned and your hips level. And then raise the left arm. And side bend to your right. Let the left leg be like a heavy weight, as if you were putting a weight on the bottom of the psoas. In this particular position, how far you bend to your right is not as important as the elegance of the arc that you're moving through. So all parts stretching equally. Let's rise up with an exhale, step the left foot down, and come into mountain pose again. The mountain pose, just again, take notice. What sedimentation are you helping to release? Okay, with all of that introduced into your body, let's now check and see if Surya Namaskar feels like a more easeful, graceful experience for certain poses that we would add in there, like our crescent lunge or Virabhadrasana 1 or side angle pose. So let's place the blocks at the top of the mat. I didn't bring a hair clip today and I don't know where it is, so apologies. It's the sort of thing that you take off and you put it down and you say to yourself, I'll know where that is. And then you don't, or at least I don't. And it's not because I'm hoarding. I don't have that much stuff. I just don't know where the hair clip went. Okay, join your hands to your heart, please. The possibility that there's less sort of drag on the system and without any sense of grasping, but just this sense that the essentials matter. Let's inhale, hands down, raise the arms up, please, tippy toe. Exhale, chair pose. Lay your heels down, bring the hips back, chair pose. Inhale, twist to your right in chair pose. Put the back of your left hand on the outside of your right ankle. Exhale, chair pose. Bring the right hand to the outside of your left ankle and inhale, twist to your left. Exhale, chair pose. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, glide forward. Exhale, left toes straight back. Inhale to rise, crescent. Hold your right wrist with your left hand. Keep your right palm facing across the midline of the body. With your hips level, make a very slight side bend to your left. Rise up to center. Hold your left wrist with your right hand. Keeping the hips level, make a very slight side bend to your right. Rise up to center. And exhale, sweep the arms wide. Let's come down and lightly touch the blocks, please. Press into your fingertips and pivot your left heel to the floor behind you while keeping the right hip and thigh stable. Inhale your left arm past your left ear. And exhale, Parjvakanasana. Press firmly into your right fingers and your right thumb on the block. Scoot your right hip under your left hip. Open the left side of the waist and reach all the way through your left heel and your left thumb without a sense of grasping, but more with the sense of celebration. Follow your exhale to touch the two blocks and inhale, step your left foot forward. Exhale for Uttanasana. Inhale, glide forward. Bend your knees, take the right toes straight back. Inhale, rise up to your crescent. And keeping the hips and pelvis level, hold your right wrist with your left hand. Keep the right wrist facing across the midline and make a very slight side bend to your left. No sense of overreaching or striving or grasping. Inhale up to center and stay with what's essential. Hold your left wrist with your right hand. The essentials include your concentration, your breath, your attitude. Raise this up to center. And then exhale, sweep the arms wide, keep the back leg steady. Press firmly into your fingertips so you're not collapsing onto your left hip. Pivot the right thigh, right shin, and right heel. And then inhale, sweep your right arm past your ear and turn to Parjvakanasana. Tuck your left hip under your right hip. Reach fully into the capacity that you have without a sense of grasping for it. And follow your exhale to return. Place your fingertips down. And then place your hands firmly, step backwards to plank pose. And downward facing dog pose. Okay, inhale to plank. Exhale, step over the tops of your feet. And inhale, seal pose. Exhale, table pose. Inhale, downward facing dog. And exhale, one foot forward, second foot forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, rise up. And exhale, hands to the heart. Let's take a look a little more closely at this side angle pose because it's got this long line on the side body and it's something that is easy to misunderstand. How are we going to get there? So if we take the right foot forward, left foot back, and I'll call that my right foot for now. I'm going to suggest that we put the two blocks on the inside of the right ankle. And when you pivot the back heel, pivot to check that it's lining up, that your left heel lines up with your right heel. So you can see that back there up to here. And then press into a kind of cat pose spine. Go ahead and use your fingertips on the blocks to make your arms longer. Now this cat pose spine, as you do it, the intention, your pelvis is asymmetrical right now. So the intention is to get you into the back hemisphere of the body. Notice if the left heel gets more grounded. And if the right hip might have a little bit more space around which you're going to be rotating. So start turning your pelvis to your left. And you can use your right arm gently to sort of supervise your right knee to stay where it is. So turn the pelvis to your left, then turn the inner belly to the left, then the rib cage, the shoulders, and then reach with your left arm. And try to keep a sense of where that cat pose spine was helpful in broadening the back of your waist. It also gave you some space for your right hip joint, so you could rotate your pelvis around the thigh bone, rather than the sense that when you turned the pelvis, your right femur and your right knee kind of got jostled about by that rotation. And breathe through the left hemisphere of the body, listening for what's essential. And follow your exhale to come down into your cat pose spine. Then pivot the left heel up and step your left foot forward. Go to the outside of your block there just because you have blocks there. It's kind of a playful way to do it. And then let's do the other side. So you can step your right foot back, keep your left foot forward. Put the blocks on the inside of your left ankle. And go ahead again and come to this sort of cat pose position for the spine. Kind of even before you pivot the right heel down, you could put that, it could precede. When you place the right heel down, go ahead and look back and see that your right heel is lined up with your left heel. With this internal sense of cat pose, if you snug the left hip under the right hip, it's going to give you the chance to accentuate the right lower back. Okay, sweep your right arm past your ear and turn slowly the pelvis, low belly, mid belly, the upper chest and the heart. Breathing in, breathing out. So what's essential? We're going to exhale and come down. Touch your fingertips back to the blocks like cat pose. Pivot your back heel up and step it forward. Go around the blocks just because they're there. It's kind of playful. And raise your hands to your hips. Go ahead and rise up to standing. And come into mountain pose again. In your mountain pose, stand in the center of the plumb line. You could sense that like right hemisphere, left hemisphere, front and back. What is the center? Please come down to the floor. And it's helpful to have your chair close by and 2 blankets. When you come down, let me get my second blanket. So there's We do child's pose regularly because it's really helpful for the vata dosha to come back down into the pelvis. But there's another way to do child's pose where you cross your ankles. So if you pick up and you put one ankle under the other, so I've just done that, I'm sitting, my left ankle's on top. When you come into child's pose from here, it's going to highlight one part of the back relative to another. So come down to child's pose with the ankles crossed behind you. And if you've got the left ankle on top, walk your left hand forward. And then walk your left hand with the help of your right hand, walk it to your right. So that becomes a side bend again. Keep the left hip drawn back. And then walk your left hand straight out in front once again. And then bring your hands under your shoulders. Press up to table pose and unhook the ankles. And just notice for a few moments the circulation going down to your feet and the circulation going down through your left thigh. Then cross the ankles the other way. So if you had the left on top, now you have the right on top. Reach back to child's pose. Walk the right hand forward. Walk your right hand across your mat. So it's a little side bend for the upper torso. The side bend is going to the left. If you're on the same side as me. So if your right ankle is on top, you've got your right arm forward and the side bend goes to your left. Walk the right hand back in line. Come to center. Place your hands, come up to table pose, uncross the ankles and notice the circulation going down to your feet and also down your right leg. Listen for what's really subtle in that circulation. And then release from there. Can you please bring your chair onto your mat? Here's the chair. We have a couple of blocks. We have a couple of blankets. Fold the blanket in the storage fold, which looks like this. So it goes from this sort of quarter fold to a 1/8 fold. Place the blankets like this. So they're right there in front of the chair, and how close the blankets need to be to the chair is going to be different based on your body length. Okay, so we're going to be doing something that we've done a lot in this class, and I'm sorry that we can't do it in person where I could check each person really specifically. There are options, of course, to not do this pose. Like you could just do the waterfall pose, which is we're going to go to from this shoulder stand type pose. But I also know that many of you have been practicing this with me. So let's check it out because it's a really helpful pose for the sequence we've been having today. We're going to sit on the chair facing its back. So you straddle the chair. I like the fact that my chair is made of metal because it's slippery. So you slide the hips and then you slide off. And what you're doing is placing your shoulders on the two blankets after adjusting your hair. So when the shoulders go to the blankets, for me, the thickness of the blankets, the height of the chair, the length of my spine means that my pelvis is on the chair edge in a place that's comfortable. Some people do need padding to go behind the sacrum where the chair is, and that's of course legitimate. Then we can take the legs up to the supported shoulder stand. So options instead of this pose include things like the waterfall pose, which is a restorative pose. You could do bridge pose. You could do legs up the wall pose, getting a kind of lymph drainage. You could watch others with admiration. This is a really important cleansing pose. Cleansing because you're getting some drainage from the circulation and the lymph. The organs in the pelvis have slightly rearranged the pressure against the pelvic floor and the inner belly. Your lungs are upside down. And there's fresh blood supply going towards the head, nourishing your throat, pituitary, pineal glands. Keep the heart lifted so there's a sense of back bending in the chest and the heart region. And touch your feet to the upper back of the chair and then to the seat of the chair. We place the hands without pulling on your hair. Place your hands so you can slide back and down from your position so that you're going to be coming into the waterfall pose. And I'm going to request something here in the waterfall pose. Reach up and cross the ankles and hold the opposite ankle for a few moments here with the opposite hand. You might notice the additional sense of circulation going in towards the head. Maybe your face feels a little bit warm, for example. The ankle to the other side. Some of you are going to feel this more in your hips than in terms of the circulation, but listen for the subtlety of the circulation also. Place your feet up on the seat of the chair. Go to the upper back of the chair and tip the chair with your toes. Yeah. Take the arms out and close your eyes. You've given yourself a bath, an inside bath. We did a lot of work there on the lymph system today. And I think in everything that we were doing, in fact, we touched that system purposely. Also, some of the major muscles that play on the torso, latissimus dorsi and psoas. So when you come to rest right now, let's think of Aparigraha, sort of fundamental simplicity to our lives. Can we simplify, simplify, and simplify? Stay with what is essential. You rest in Shavasana, you might even feel the very subtle pulsation in your body. Maybe you'll sense it in your hands or your arms, your face, your legs. If you have a sense of that pulsation, let your mind rest on just that phenomena. Nothing else intrudes right now. The moment being in relationship with the indwelling pulsation, like the pulsation of life, right there in your body. Process to continue. You're simply witnessing. You're not choreographing. Your mind connected to the indwelling pulsation. It may get more subtle as time goes from the shoulder stand. But that pulsation is still very much there, still happening. Stay with the pulsation for a couple more minutes. So even if it becomes more and more subtle, rest for one more minute and stay with the subtle. And you may slightly wiggle your fingers and your toes. Please bring your knees towards your chest. Roll downhill to one side from your blankets. Bring yourself up to sit for meditation, please. Your comfortable seat. Give yourself some stamina here by making this seat suited to your needs today. Rest your hands in your lap. And you're welcome to close your eyes. Come up to sit. It'll seem to some of us that that pulsation is more subtle or even less felt sense of it. So I'm going to ask you to really concentrate and tune in to that subtle pulsation. Like, in fact, you can feel it in your whole body, a shared pulsation. Let the mind get really still. You don't have to move the body or control it, but you may sense this very subtle undulation It goes with the pulse of your heartbeat. No need to orchestrate it, no need to choreograph anything. You're not in charge of it, but it is a place to rest your attention. Notice when you're connected, when the mind is present, you can sense the pulsation. And when the mind goes to thought, you may realize that you lose the pulsation. And yet it's still there. It's still available to you. Your ability for this kind of concentration. And also remind yourself you're developing your capacity right now by practicing. Your attention on the subtle. So the mind is encouraged to be very still, as if the mind were a glacier lake, still and beautiful, and creatures come to sip from the water. No ripples are created. You may sense in the stillness of the mind, different thoughts come to visit, yet no ripples are created. Keep the steadiness of the mind, the simplicity. This inner pulsation goes on. Just raise your hands to your heart. Ask yourself just where in your own life you might want to simplify in practicing Aparigraha, loosening your grip on possessions, loosening the habit of acquisition. Maybe it's referring for you to something you're going to be cleaning up, some hoarding you've already done that you want to be letting go of. Thank you very much, everyone. Namaste.